everyone, and welcome to Philo's Garage. Today I'm going to talk about gassers. So I've always loved these type of cars, and I've wanted to have one to go zip around on the weekends and try and get in trouble with it. So I've decided to build one with a bunch of crap I have laying around. I've got two cars that I could use. I've got a 64 Rambler Classic 550, and then I've also got a 65 Plymouth Barracuda Formula S. Both of these cars have no real drivetrain in them, they're just shells. So I think I can build something pretty decent with crap I have laying around. For the drivetrain, I've got a 4.8 or a 5.3 I can use. I've got a turbo 400 with straight cut gears. Just throw a converter in that and a shift kit, and I think it would live okay. For the rear end, I've got a Toyota 8-inch out of a V6 pickup. It's 5 on 4.5. It's about the right width. It's a semi-floater rear end, so the axles are retained in case you break one. And the super guys are putting 750 horsepower through these things without breaking them. And the truck guys have run them for years with big tires. So I think that'll be a good starting point. If I don't have any issues, I'll never upgrade it. And then on the front, I picked up a Jeep Cherokee two-wheel drive front axle. Now, if you've never seen one of these, it's basically a Dana 35, but with a straight tube all the way across. There's no pumpkin. Uses the same brakes and the same knuckles. And because of that, this car will have decent front brakes and be drivable without being really sketchy. I mean, it'll probably already be sketchy because it has a bunch of horsepower and it doesn't weigh anything. It doesn't need to have bad brakes to compound that issue. I'll cut all the brackets off. Those trucks or SUVs, whatever you want to call them, they had a coil front end with the 5-link. So I'm going to cut all those brackets off and I'll use leaf springs. I ordered some Suzuki Samurai front springs just because you can run normal bushings in them and they're not like crazy long. A lot of guys use trailer springs, and if you've ever looked at a trailer spring, it's kind of a piece of junk. It doesn't have real bushings in it. It's super narrow. They're meant to hold weight and not exactly, they're not meant to ride decent at all. So I'm hoping the Suzuki springs work pretty good. I picked them up off Amazon for about $150, which is more than fair. So and then I've got a few old suspension seats, like race seats, that I can use. I've got some old belts that I'll probably have to change out because they're out of date. The plan for this car is I'd like to get it together and race at the zip tie drags down in Tucson in the beginning of 2021. They haven't announced it yet, but there's no reason that they won't do it this year, or next year I should say. That's a super cool track if you've never been down there to Tucson Dragway. And in January it's nice and cool outside here in Arizona, so you can actually go fast without blowing your motor up. Anyways, let's do a walk around of the two cars and you can get an idea of what we're working with here. Alright, so I want to build a gasser, and I'm going to do it sort of cheap, so I want to use what I have laying around. I've got two cars I could build. This is the first. This is a 1964 Rambler Classic 550. It was originally a 6-cylinder car with a 2-speed Borg Warner automatic. I've owned it for a number of years, but never really done anything with it. I used to drive it when it was stock, but it was super slow and it was a huge pain in the butt to get parts for. So right now there's no motor in it, but this car is pretty complete. All the glass is good. It has a narrowed 9-inch I started building in the back, but I don't know if I'll use that or not. It needs axles and a third member. So the other car I have is a 1965 Plymouth Barracuda Formula S. It was originally a 4-speed small block car, but I don't have the drivetrain. It not as quite a good a condition. It's got some surface rust on it I got to clean off, but it does have a really nice cage in it and a bunch of aluminum panel work. This car was never finished, but it was originally built for Mexican road races, La Carrera Mexicana or something like that. It was built by a shop down in Santee or El Cajon, one of the two. Forget where they're actually at. Same area though. Don't have the bumpers for it. I don't have the tail lights, but I can get that stuff off eBay pretty easy. I think it would make kind of a cool gasser. I need a windshield and a back glass. Everyone says the back glass are super hard to find, but everyone saved them over the years thinking that they would be rare. They're actually really thick and hard to break, so there's a lot of them out there. I find them all the time online for 50 to 100 bucks. The problem being that they're all 1,000 miles away. But eventually one will find its way to me. I've got a nice Hemi scoop, like a reproduction scoop for it. Look kind of cool on it. It was set up for a fuel cell, but I don't have the fuel cell. I have to order one. That car doesn't have any tank in it, so I'm not sure what I want to do. Alright, so now that you've seen the cars, let's go to the results. I posted photos of both of these cars on my social media, and people voted on which one they'd like to see me build a gasser out of. Now most people said the Barracuda makes an awesome gasser. People have done it before, but they thought that the Rambler would be something more unique. And I don't know how I feel about the unique thing. I feel like sometimes people try too hard to be unique and they just build stuff that looks horrible. I mean, there's a reason why certain cars were chose over the years to be built over and over again. 55 Chevys, you know, late 70s Chevelles and whatnot. They're good looking cars. So when you take something that's ugly and try and build it to be different, you still kind of have an ugly car. Not saying that the Rambler is an ugly car. The Rambler is just odd. I think it's actually a pretty decent looking car. And the Barracuda too. Those first gen Barracudas, they're not very popular at all. For whatever reason, that's one of the few Mopars you can actually own reasonably. I see those cars all the time for anywhere from $3,500 to $10,000 running and driving. You know, a $3,500 car probably needs paint and stuff, but at $10,000, they're usually a really nice car. And there's nothing else Mopar that you can touch for that. Like everything else is way above that now. So anyways, on to the results. So I posted photos of these cars, exact same photos, on both Instagram and Facebook. Now on Instagram, the Rambler won. There was 9 people voting for the Rambler, and there was 5 for the Barracuda. For some reason, that post didn't get very much response. However, on Facebook, it was the opposite. So on Facebook, I got 17 votes for the Barracuda and 9 for the Rambler. So if you add those together, the Barracuda won. So it looks like that's what I'm going to build. So I'm going to need some parts for the Barracuda. I need back glass and I need a windshield. Now I can order a windshield from just about anywhere, I believe, but the back glass is not reproduced. Luckily, there's a lot of that back glass laying around. So if you know somebody that has it or you have it yourself, please drop a comment. I would be interested in purchasing that from you. I'm not sure if I show up to drag race this hoopty with no glass in it, if they're going to say yay or nay. I have a feeling it's the latter. They're going to tell me to come back with some glass. And because of the curve of the back glass, I don't think I can build it out of Lexan too easily, but that might end up being what I do. So anyways, till next time, hit the like button if you like this, subscribe if you want to see more videos about gassers, and leave a comment telling me how I did. I appreciate it.